Europe edition. Want to get this briefing by email? Here's the sign up. Good morning. President Trump faces pushback, the EU finds Google, and the British Open tees off today. Here's the latest. Image credit Brenner for the New York Times. America's allies are pushing back as President Trump keeps up his mission of disruption. Nations in the European Union and elsewhere are accelerating their efforts to buttress a global system that Mr. Trump has seemed prepared to tear down. The world's leading economies, including Europe, China and Japan, are forging new partnerships and trade deals, efforts intended to preserve the rules-based order that the United States created after World War II. Credit Associated Press. Maria Butina was upfront about her three great passions: gun rights, President Trump and better relations between the United States and Russia. But it was all a ruse. Details are emerging about Ms. Butina, 29, above, the Russian woman charged with secretly acting on behalf of Russia. She was arrested on Sunday. Ms. Butina was recently in contact with a suspected Russian intelligence official as part of a years-long conspiracy, prosecutors said. They also wrote that she offered sex to an American in exchange for a position within a special interest organization. The defendant is considered to be on par with other covert Russian agents, prosecutors said. Creditive Herman, Reuters. The EU fined Google €4.34 billion, a record penalty, for abusing its power in the smartphone market. Officials said Google, which makes the Android mobile operating system used in smartphones, broke antitrust laws by striking deals with handset makers like Huawei and Samsung. Above, Margrethe Vestager, Europe's competition commissioner, discussing Google on Wednesday. The agreements required Google services to be favored over rival offerings. The European authorities said those moves unfairly boxed out competitors. It's Europe's latest move to rein in American tech companies, but history suggests that investors have little reason to fret. Critic John Super, Associated Press. Let the conditions be the conditions. That's the approach to maintaining greens at Scotland's Carnoustie Golf Links, where the 147th edition of the British Open tees off today. Above, Tiger Woods practices on the 14th hole. What we seek to get is that balance between a traditional fast, firm links golf course, where danger lurks on every hole, said the chief executive of the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews, but that is fair enough that it allows the ones who are playing well to really play well. Business critic Priyadarshini Ravichandran for the New York Times. False rumors of child kidnappers have gone viral on WhatsApp in India, prompting fearful mobs to kill 24 innocent people since April. One of the first was a 65-year-old woman named Rukmani, remembered above. Meanwhile, Facebook, the owner of WhatsApp, said it would begin removing misinformation from Facebook and Instagram that could lead to people being physically harmed, who should control the key technologies that will rule tomorrow. Our tech columnist argues that the U.S. could outline and fund an alternative vision for the global technology industry, rather than abdicate to China. Here's a snapshot of global markets. Credit Lilian Suwarnarumpa, Agence France Presse. Getty Images. 12 Thai soccer players and their coach were released from a hospital and made their first public appearance since their rescue from a cave last week. The boys held a news conference and dribbled soccer balls to cheers from an assembled crowd. The New York Times. A British man was found guilty of plotting to kill Prime Minister Theresa May in a terrorist attack at her official residence. The New York Times. In northern Syria, makeshift prisons hold suspects accused of fighting for ISIS. Their home countries are reluctant to repatriate the Islamic State fighters. In a rare visit, a Times reporter toured the prisons. The New York Times. Sweden is battling at least 44 wildfires, from the southern island of Gotland to as far north as the Arctic Circle, prompting the authorities to ask for international assistance. BBC. First it was too heavy, now it's too big. Spain's newest submarine can't fit into its home port at a naval base in southeastern Spain. The New York Times. Smarter living tips for a more fulfilling life. Credit Shuttershock recipe of the day. Grilling burgers is classic, but smashing them in a hot cast iron skillet is magical. Noteworthy, our 52 places traveler is nearly halfway through her journey around the world and finally caught her breath exploring Bristol, England, and Glasgow, Scotland. "I just needed a breather that felt like a life lived beyond tourism," our columnist writes. Meandering through these two charming cities provided just that. In Lebanon and Israel, only religious leaders can perform marriages, so couples seeking secular ceremonies have to tie the knot elsewhere. A sun-drenched beach town on Cyprus has proved to be just the spot. A French businessman controversially purchased a guillotine at a Paris auction last week, but he doesn't know where to put it. "I don't want to exhibit it in a family setting," he said. Backstory: Credit Library of Congress. On its first day, Stanton read the Declaration of Sentiments, a treatise modeled after the U.S. Declaration of Independence that enumerated the women's grievances. On the second day, Stanton's declaration was adopted, and men were invited to attend, among them the abolitionist Frederick Douglass. During the ratification process of a number of resolutions, he sided with Stanton in support of women's enfranchisement. Also in attendance was Amelia Bloomer, who went on to found the first women's interest newspaper, The Lily. Bloomer was also the namesake of the pantaloon style she popularized as part of her dress reform efforts. Although the convention was widely ridiculed at the time, Stanton's declaration gave birth to the women's suffrage movement. Women won the national right to vote in the U.S. 1920, 27 years after New Zealand became the first country to grant women's suffrage. Emma McAlevey wrote today's backstory, _______. Your morning briefing is published weekday mornings and updated online. Check out this page to find a morning briefing for your region. In addition to our European edition, we have Australian, Asian and US editions. Sign up here to receive an evening briefing on US weeknights, and here's our full range of free newsletters. What would you like to see here? Contact us at europebriefing@nytimes.com.